Why can't you do what crypto does? Hey, why can't you do what crypto does? Why don't you do what crypto does? And blast laser beams from your eyes. How come you can't do that? Or can you? Oh my god. Oh my god. He is crypto. He is a super dog. Oh my god. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pop Culture Corner. My name's Ty, and I am your host. Today we'll be talking about Titans. I was lucky enough to be able to see the first few episodes available to press, and I'm super excited to talk about it. As always, guys, make sure to like this video. Share it on social media so your friends, family, and even enemies can watch along with you. With that being said, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so Titans. Titans was originally a show that was self-produced by DC and was homed on the DC Universe app. The app was okay. It also was the home of mostly comics, but there was 3 shows, including Titans, also Doom Patrol, and Swamp Thing, that all were on the platform. Now, Titans showed the most promise as the characters were more well known by audiences due to the comics and animated shows that predecessed them. Titans definitely had the most potential as well. It's a series with a team of heroes that we all know and love. And aside from the Justice League, I think they're some of people's favorites. Now, the first 2 seasons, in my humble opinion, the build-up was always there, but when it came to the finales, it didn't quite land as good as the prior episodes. Season 1 suffered from this. Season 2 suffered from this. And it would always take me out of the story a little bit. However, I did like both the previous seasons. I just think that DC Universe wasn't the place where, these big, extensive stories could be told. So when they announced that Doom Patrol and Titans would be now on HBO Max, this was a good sign. HBO Max would allow for bigger budgets, better people that came in to direct, produce, work on the show, etc. And listen, right from the start, season 3 opens, and you can noticeably tell the difference. Everything from the choreography of the action sequences to the soundtrack was absolutely phenomenal. The writing, the actors seemed to be more dialed in, and it looked like they were just having more fun being these characters than in previous seasons. Curran Walters steals the show as Jason Todd or Robin, and then he soon becomes Red Hood, as we've seen in the trailers. If you're familiar with the comic storylines, they do draw inspiration from things like Under the Red Hood and A Death in the Family. Actually, A Death in the Family is even name-dropped by Starfire. So I thought that was a cool nod to the comic storyline. What this show does suffer from is sometimes it doesn't remember that the show is called Titans. And it's not just a story about Dick and Jason and Batman. It seems that some subplots that I think are fantastic and could, hold their own on a storyline, seem to get passed over for the main storyline. Now, I understand that the main storyline that they're going for here is the Red Hood storyline, and yes, of course, that's going to take front and center. But I think that if they subverted a little bit more time for the other characters, they wouldn't feel like guest stars. They would actually feel like main characters. Overall, the show does do justice to making you understand why the Red Hood storyline is taking place. We do know Jason has struggled with, anger, pain in his life, not really having a family up until Bruce took him in, etc., etc. He is definitely not one to take orders. So the series opens, or the season opens, with Jason hell-bent on stopping the Joker. He calls Bruce to let him know, and Bruce tells him to stand down. This does not sit well with Jason. So Jason, basically doesn't listen. And that's when we get the sequence that we see in the trailer with the Joker beating him with the crowbar. Now, fans of DC Comics will know this sequence very well, as it is the turning point for everything. Jason then becomes Red Hood, and for a long time is not a hero. DC purists maybe won't like that this storyline is playing out the way it does. As far as canon and how it actually takes place and the time frames of it all, they are a little off. However, with these live action adaptations, that's just something they do. They tweak, they turn, and they change things to fit their narratives. Gotham did it a lot. Gotham did it, Gotham was constantly doing it. I could go on for days about how Gotham, tweaked storylines and some of the things didn't make sense. And, that's really what I didn't like about Gotham. But with Titans, it's kind of making sense. The Red Hood storyline, and from what I hear, they're planning on 5 seasons of Titans with a Red Hood spinoff, as well as some other spinoffs as well. So I think they wanted to introduce Red Hood now. That way, when we get to the spinoff, he would be more of the anti-hero that he becomes. But in season 3, from the episodes that I have seen, he's very much a villain. We are also introduced to a few new characters in the first 5 episodes, including Jonathan Crane as Scarecrow, and Barbara Gordon, who is already been paralyzed by the Joker. When we meet her, she is now the commissioner of the GCPD, and we find out later in a conversation with Bruce Wayne that her father was the victim of Mr. Freeze, and that's how he died, which I thought was a cool homage to some comic books. Overall, this story definitely tackles the same themes as the previous 2 seasons. However, I think it does it in a much better way. You can tell from the moment the show opens that something is different. And over the past 2 seasons, I always felt that Titans was missing something. At least 1 or 2 pieces were missing. So now that it's on HBO Max, you can tell that those pieces are where they need to be. Whether or not you like the show or you like the choices that they've made, this is probably one of the best Batman-Robin stories that I've ever seen on screen. If not the best Robin stories to date. So I really like the relationship between, or the psychology, might I say, between what it is like to be a hero in this world, especially a hero that's not exactly super. Connor as well, Connor, Superboy, played by Joshua Orpik. He is struggling with being a clone of Lex Luthor. However, he has created a pretty friendly relationship with Beast Boy, played by Ryan Potter. We see them joking around about, who's super and who's not. And I thought that was really cool to see them kind of taking a liking to each other. Also, Starfire is having these terrible blackouts where she cannot control her powers, and she becomes a danger to the team. So they set out on that, and we get to meet Blackfire, etc., etc. Again, this is a non-spoiler kind of thing, so I won't get too far into plot details. However, it's a very interesting storyline, and like I said, sometimes they skip back to the main storyline and kind of overlook the subplots, which I think they could spend a little bit more time on, but overall, I think this show and series has done a pretty good job of telling a dark, gritty, bold Batman mythos kind of story. I really am enjoying the series. I've been a fan since day one, so maybe I'm a little biased. However, I can still pick out some flaws. Like I said, I think sometimes I need to remember that it is not just a show about Dick Grayson, Bruce Wayne, and Jason Todd, and explore the other characters more. Hopefully, they explore more of the characters in the future episodes that I haven't seen. I do want to throw a quick shout out to Scarecrow. Scarecrow is the bridge for the audience to get a little bit more into the mind of Jason and even Dick at some points. There's a cool sequence with Dick and Scarecrow where they're kind of having dialogue back and forth, and we get to see a little bit more about how Dick became Nightwing, or Robin, I should say, because at the time he became Robin. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, in this show does a tremendous job at being the bridge between the audience and getting more into the mind of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. In an homage to Hannibal Lecter, we meet Scarecrow. He's behind bars and he's consulting for the GCPD under direct order of Commissioner Gordon, Barbara. And I really thought that was a cool homage. He's kind of twisted. He's a little bit of a pothead. And he seems to have worked his way into some deal with the GCPD, consulting for cases outside the norm. Overall, I give the episodes that were available to press an 8.8 out of 10. I thought the dynamic and the psychology of the whole storyline and the themes were awesome. Brother versus brother, father versus son, and family versus family, right? Like, what do you do when it's one of your own that you're fighting against? And that's what the team really struggles with, is they could have done more for Jason when Jason was with them, and they didn't because they didn't have time for him. So when Jason goes dark side, or when he becomes Red Hood, they really struggle with why. Why did he do this? Why is he becoming this? Is it Jason, or is he being manipulated? I really enjoyed those themes and the dynamic that's happening between the characters outside of the main storyline. The dialogue in the series is tremendous. The writers have really dialed it in. The actors have really dialed it in. And I just think that you guys are going to be so pleasantly surprised when you do get to watch the episodes starting on August 12th, 2021 on HBO Max. I'm not exactly sold on some of the castings. Barbara Gordon, for instance, I am not sold yet on her casting. Also, I don't think I've ever been sold on Ian Glenn as Batman. It just does not do it for me necessarily, but they do play their parts and they do move the story forward when it's called for. I do like exploring the Batman mythos that they are exploring, because we typically don't get to see this on screen. Normally, we do see Batman struggle with some things, but not in the way that this show has depicted it. We definitely see a Bruce Wayne who admits that he is not what Gotham City needs, and kind of puts the burden on Dick and says, be a better Batman. So now we see Dick trying to step out of Batman's shadows only to be thrust back into it. So what does that do to someone's psyche? It can't be good. That same thing happens with Jason Todd. Jason Todd looks at Bruce Wayne like a father figure, and when your father figure casts you out or says basically that you're weak, what is that going to do to you? The themes in the show are ever present, and they definitely resonate with audiences. They resonated with me. That's what good shows do. They make you feel empathy. They make you feel sympathy. And Titans definitely makes you feel for better or worse. I do hope some of the surprises from the first 5 episodes pay off in the later episode. And I do hope they remember that there are more than just Dick and Jason and Batman's relationship to explore. I think this show would really benefit from exploring other characters and diving in a little bit to their mythos as well. Teen Titans was so successful because of all the characters, not just one, not just the other. Raven is still on Themyscira, trying to revive Donna Troy. When we first see Hank and Dawn, they have given up the life of being a Titan, and Hank is now working with the Washington, D.C. local police department. Dove is still Dove, but she's doing it by herself. They do come back in some form after they find out what happens to Jason, and the story kind of goes on from there. However, again, we didn't get much into what was going on. I think we need to explore more of these characters and kind of dip our toes into them as well. So I really do hope this series does that, and I hope that some of the surprises pay off from the first 5 episodes in the later episodes. Overall, I give this season, so far, an 8.8 out of 10. A great score, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of the episodes. All right, guys, so that's all the time we have for you today. Also, if you do want to read a little bit more, my article for GWW, A Review for Titans, is available now on their website. Head over to thegww.com and read it for more on what I had to say. As each episode airs, we will be doing a more spoiler-filled discussion as each episode comes and goes so that we can talk and enjoy it along with you. I did want to give my thoughts and reactions to being able to watch the available press episodes. That way you can get a better feel for what I thought going into the new season. Again, to recap, I did think the series needed work, and now that it's on HBO Max, I think the pieces are starting to come together. The cinematography, the choreography, the soundtrack, the dialogue, everything seemed to be much better now that it's on HBO Max and it has a bigger budget. If only Swamp Thing could get a second chance on HBO Max. I know that they had some troubles with behind the scenes stuff and how expensive it was to film on the swamp. But, hey, HBO Max, it was a good series. Maybe think about bringing it back. I don't know, in some form or another. I know there were whispers about maybe bringing Swamp Thing into Justice League Dark. However, I do think that would be a great opportunity to get another show from DC Universe back on the platform as Doom Patrol and Titans are now. Guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and tons of early access stuff like that. You can join our membership for as low as $2.99. We are still accepting donations for our breast cancer foundation in my mother's name. All the links of everything are in the description below. I'd like to hear what you guys are excited for Titan Season 3, so let me know in the comments who's your favorite character, what's your favorite plot point, and anything else. Just let me know in the comments. Guys, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and we will see you next time on the Pop Culture Corner.